Good evening. Welcome to Cryptid Crunch. Yes, don't worry. The powers of Cthulhu is right here in the palm of my hand, and I control him very, very, very well today. He will not be bothering us as far as power goes. However, there will be an appearance of other cryptids, hopefully. So we got Grant Lankard coming in soon and much more. So stay tuned. Keisha! So we're helping Keisha hide from her babies.
Yes, I am hiding downstairs in my spare room because babies are scary. They are a cryptid of their own.
So if anyone wants to send Keisha a bottle of rum, she's saying she's a dry household, but I think after this she might need a couple drinks. So for those of you who aren't at the bar and joining us for the show, happy St. Patty's Day.
Oh, guys, I do have green on. It's on my leg.
Woo! Though I'm pretty sure the majority of the partying happened yesterday, though, right? I don't know. I don't celebrate St. Patty's Day, so
I'm saving it for tomorrow.
And speaking of cryptids, Johnny!
Ta-da! Hey there, friends and foes. I am a cryptid when it comes to this show. The guy who created the show and then ducked out.
It's okay. You have other things that you're doing, ghostly things.
Yeah, normally on a Sunday night, I am leading a ghost tour through Nashville. Not every Sunday night, but it just happened to be the last several months when Cryptid Crunch was on. I was otherwise engaged. And tonight, lo and behold, I was able to make it. I'm here. Ta-da!
So you had an exciting, adventurous day today, I hear.
It was. Some people almost lost their lives moving very heavy, very massive furniture. Let's just put it that way. I think as adults, we've all been there at one point or another in our lives. And that happened to me today.
Free food is usually the welcoming thing. But
well, but you have to have friends to offer free food too, and we really don't have any friends. So it was me, Mrs., and my son, and that was about it. So speaking of cryptids trying to get in, I think there's a dog trying to open the door behind me, and she can open the door. She can open the door. But hey, Willow, I'm super excited about tonight's episode because of the guest we have. You know, I don't get to be on the show very often and to share kind of the vision for Cryptid Crunch. You know, when we created the show, we created it because, you know, Saturday mornings, we're doing Back of the Cereal Box. That's all about Saturday morning cartoons and comic books and big bowls of cereal. And that was the Saturday morning experience when I was a kid. But when I was a kid, the Sunday night experience was In Search Of with Leonard Nimoy. I became fascinated with Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster and UFOs and cryptids in general. And, you know, I'm a huge fan of comic books, and that's a big part of our Saturday morning show. And we also do the spin-off show, Back Issue Breakfast Club, where I review comic books. And, you know, comic books are equally as big a part of my initial vision for Back of the Cereal Box as cereal and cryptids were for Cryptid Crunch. And tonight we have a guest that checks all of those boxes. I am talking about Grant Lankard, and he's got a brand new comic book called The League of Cryptids and a Kickstarter that I just posted the link for. And you guys, I'm so excited. Welcome, Grant, to Cryptid Crunch.
Hi guys, how's it going?
Good. I am
Welcome.
so excited for your comic book.
Thanks.
It looks. Is it okay to say a comic book looks sexy? Because I think I love the art in this.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully Sasquatch doesn't. Look sexy, but
I
not-
actually find him the sexiest.
Listen, everybody is sexy to someone,
right.
even you, Grant.
I'm
But
trying to think if there are any other cryptids that could be described as sexy, but I think you're right. Probably Sasquatch is the sexiest.
Well, the way that
Jersey
you
Devil.
have the Jersey Devil, I'm sure that he's going to have some appeal to some of the younger folk.
Yeah.
You know what? I have that exact outfit. I have that Dolly Parton t-shirt, and I have a leather blazer that looks just like that.
Oh,
Oh, that's a good. Yeah, that's awesome.
You
And
should
I've got the
probably get it
hairdo.
on.
I could glue some horns on, paint myself red, and go as the Jersey
Oh.
Devil.
Now I'm excited about that cosplay. You have to do it.
Let's just get right into it. What started you on the whole adventure of doing a comic book about cryptids?
So kind of the same thing that where I got the idea of Beowulf, whereas when I heard the story of Beowulf, it sounded like a comic book.
So let's back up here. For those of you who are watching or listening and you don't know, Grant has previously created a series based on the mythical hero Beowulf, and the book is called Beowulf.
Yeah.
And it was originally a Kickstarter, and it got picked up for nationwide retail distribution. It's carried in my comic shop and other comic shops around the country. So that's where Grant's coming from. And now you've got the new one, The League of Cryptids.
Right. Yeah, I suppose I shouldn't assume people know what Beowulf is, but yeah, so Beowulf was my first comic book. And where the idea for that came from was, when I was a kid, my parents had one of those Time Life fairy tale books, and I said to myself, "Wow, this story kind of sounds like a comic book." And then kind of the same thing happened with cryptids, where I was reading a list of different cryptids, and the particular book that I was looking at had like the different cryptids listed, and then it had like their different abilities, like Mothman is a psychic, Sasquatch is very strong, and I remember thinking to myself, hey, this kind of sounds like remember when we were kids, they had like the superhero trading cards.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one who's old enough to remember that. Okay. Willow,
I remember them for sure.
Okay.
I have a whole stack of them.
Yeah. The cool thing about the trading cards was it appealed to both me and my mom, because my mom liked to collect things and I liked the superhero aspect of it. And so I realized, like, if I could get my mom into oh boy, we have to collect them all, then she would buy me some. So yeah.
Did it work?
Yeah, it did, actually, believe it or not.
That is outstanding. There's nothing better than having a mom who is your biggest fan and can share your passion.
Yeah, it's funny. She wasn't into the superhero aspect at all, but she was interested into the idea of collecting all of them.
Huh.
Which is weird.
I actually come from a family of collectors, and yeah, they don't have to care about anything other than the collecting. I have a 14-year-old son that has every Pokemon known to mankind. Does he actually play it? No. But if you get him a deck of the Pokemon cards, he is giddy
Yeah.
about it. I don't
So
understand it, but I'm still willing to lend a hand.
Now, is it that he doesn't have anybody to play it with, or he just doesn't have
No,
any?
because I offer him on a constant basis to play with him. I'm like, dude, this is my childhood. Let's go play some Pokemon. And he's like, like, that's not cool. And I'm like, well, I'm not cool.
Oh, you are to us, Keisha.
Thanks. You are such a horrible liar, but I love you, Willow. Thank you.
I'm trying to be convincing. No, I am a horrible liar. I'm sorry.
I don't think anything could make me cool to my 14-year-old.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Absolutely true. Well, except
Until
for
you
your
guys-
wallet.
Until you guys start liking the same music.
Oh no, he went my husband's route, and Weird Al Yankovic is the only thing I hear these days.
Interesting. Yeah, it's funny. I was just thinking about this earlier. I have a stepdaughter, and I try to talk to her about music because, like, when I was a kid, I would have loved if I could have talked to my parents about music, but like they just had no interest whatsoever. But I think it's just a matter of like whatever music your parents are into is not cool. You know what I mean?
See,
I
okay,
That's fair.
That's
I
the
listen to
weird
some
thing.
pretty hardcore stuff, so that's probably a good thing.
That's the weird thing. Like, I bonded with my mom over Cher. Maybe it's different from music from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, where that music was awesome. But any music, I apologize, guys, but music from music stopped being good after '97. I don't know what happened.
You have to
music
look
anyway.
for it now. You have to look for good music now, I think.
Yeah, you're not wrong, Willow. So share, huh? If I could turn back time.
If I can find a way.
Are you guys waiting for me to
Take
sing? I'm
those
like,
words that hurt you, and you'd say.
sorry if I broke the chain.
Oh no, that's okay.
So, Grant, tell us about League of Cryptids. What is it? Who is it? Why is it? And why should our audience care?
Yeah, so the idea is that these cryptids the 5 most popular cryptids, at least from my estimation, are ancient aliens who were sent here thousands of years ago to kind of keep an eye on Earth. And in this comic book, Earth is kind of like the Alabama of the solar system. Or is anybody here from Alabama? I don't think.
Oh no.
Wait a minute. Ding
Um,
ding 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 ding. Ding 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 ding.
I see a lot of Illinois.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of
ding.
most of our friends are from Illinois or Indiana, like the Midwest. But okay, the idea is like Earth is like the backwoods. It's like the planet that nobody really wants to drive through. And so these cryptids were assigned to Earth thousands of years ago to kind of keep an eye on us, help us develop, and at the beginning of this comic book, an invading alien species comes to attack Earth, and the invading alien species is also based on a cryptid, which is called the Loveland Frogmen. I don't know if you guys have covered them on your.
We did
briefly.
Okay.
a couple months back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
So they're
touched
not.
on it briefly, but we were talking about the festival that they have.
Right. Yeah, a lot of those little towns, like in like West Virginia or like in the Midwest, have like museums or festivals. Yeah, it's kind of cool. I mean, whether you believe in cryptids or not, it's neat. Like the whole kind of I don't know what to call them, like kind of like the festivities that have sprung up around them.
Hey, look, any reason to eat a funnel cake and a corn dog
Right,
is a good reason.
right. I hope
Agree.
yeah. I was hoping that I wonder if they have any like frog-based snacks.
Oh, well, listen, Loveland Frogman, that's Loveland, Ohio, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just outside of Cincinnati, I'm from Akron, Ohio. And
Oh, are you?
yeah, and I used to go frog gigging with my dad and his buddies all the time as a kid. So if there's a way to have a frog leg, like I'm sure at the Frogman Festival they have fried frog legs. I'm
So-
positive.
I saw a post yesterday and now I can't get it out of my mind. I actually sent it to my 4-year-old thinking he would think it was cool. 14-year-old, there we go. Thinking he would
I was
think it
just
was
gonna
cool.
say your 4-year-old has social media.
No, she's 6 and not yet. So it was a picture of frog legs and it was all fried frog legs. And somebody had commented on the bottom that all I can envision now is a bunch of little frogs in wheelchairs. And now all I could think about is little frogs, poor defenseless frogs in wheelchairs without their legs.
You know what? I never actually thought about like, okay, I've heard of people eating frog legs, but I don't know what they do with the rest of the frog.
I can tell you,
Okay.
Oh, sweet Jesus. What?
they're released because the legs grow back after you cut
So
them
they
off.
do have little wheelchairs.
Yeah, I mean, the now if they survive the gig, so that's how you hunt them. So you go out on the boat and you take the boat along the edge of the pond or the lake and you listen for the croak. And you have a high powered flashlight and you just slowly scan the bank, and when that light hits the frog's eyes, it reflects, but they get paralyzed and they cannot move. And so you keep that light on them and they row the boat right up to them and you get right on top of them with the gig, 3-pronged trident, and spear them and reach down under, pick them up and put them in a bag. So most frogs don't survive that. But if they do, they'll survive cutting the legs off, and the ones that are still alive, you can just set them loose and their legs will grow back.
I'm sorry. Carl Woodsman says, okay, this is stuff that we never wanted to learn.
Okay,
I'm
glad,
over here
I'm
just-
glad Keisha
this
looks
is-
horrified because I was worried I was the only one.
But look, here's the thing. It's hunting.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. Like, I mean, obviously, I'm not a vegetarian or anything.
I am.
My TV just came on by itself. Hold on, guys.
Ooh.
Yeah, I have been a vegetarian since I was 16 years old. Over half of my life, I have not eaten meat. So that's why I was envisioning the poor little froggies in wheelchairs, hoping they were okay.
DL Memphis says no froggy wheelchairs, but that is something that I'd be interested in seeing drawn out. That
So I actually have never eaten. Oh, whoops.
Oh.
So I actually have
Please
never
welcome
eaten. Okay, so we lose one host and gain another one. But I've actually never had frog legs. Donna says they're good.
Frog legs are delicious. They don't taste like chicken. Don't believe that.
Okay.
They do taste like a fish, an aquatic animal, but they have a consistency like chicken. So that's why people say they don't taste like chicken, but they're delicious.
Interesting.
Now they're generally fried, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, deep fried, but you could grill them too. But yeah, deep fried. Yep. What was that comment you just like
Uh,
put up on the screen? Yeah.
Donna Carleen says, and frog legs can be good eating.
Yeah, they can. Now, don't get them at like the Chinese buffet. Don't do that. Don't.
Right.
Go to a Cajun restaurant or a restaurant down in Mississippi, Alabama,
So
Tennessee.
Grant, about that book.
Yeah, this is the show, folks. This is what happens when you get us together. I mean, look, you mentioned frog-based food at the festival, and that took us down this.
And this is why aliens lock their cars when they're flying over Earth.
Exactly.
Our train never stays on tracks. It's
Okay,
goes
well, I'm
haywire.
glad that I'm glad that I'm not the one who's steering us in the wrong direction. But well, I guess I kind of was.
Well, no. Keisha does that all by herself.
yeah.
And we haven't even gotten really to viewer comments yet. Audience comments, Willow.
No, there's a lot of people in our chat though, and first time commenter. Hi, Brian Rodman.
Yeah,
Good
it's
to
nice to
see
see
you.
Brian.
Oh, it's that handsome young fella I saw on Facebook earlier.
Brian Rodman says,
the man
boom.
with the great beard.
Yeah, Brian Rodman says, boom, I'm here first, I win. But that's not true. He was not here first. Carl and Donna were here first.
They're always here first.
yeah.
I think they
So-
just wait here until the next show.
The last show that we were supposed to do, I wasn't able to because of power issues. So thank you, Grant, for being so
Right.
kind to reschedule.
I remember
But so it kind of carried over the conversation in the chat from last time. So yeah,
Oh.
Carl Winsman says, "Hello, everyone." Oh, it kept our convo from last. How embarrassing.
So technically, yes, he is the first.
I had no idea that's how that worked.
I didn't know that either.
I-
Now we
Well,
know.
you learn something new every day.
Technology is so wonderful. So yeah, we got Don Nulas. Hello. Grant, you're commenting.
am.
Da-da-da-da.
I can't resist. Sorry.
Oh, Zentron. Shouldn't it be your bedtime?
Or maybe it's his.
or did
Morning
you
time.
just wake up?
So when we're doing the show at 8 a.m. on Saturday morning, it's 2 p.m. in the UK. So what's that time difference? That's what?
Are you asking us
There's
to
like a
math?
there's like a 5-hour difference.
So if that's 5-hour delay, so now it's 8 p.m. here, that means it's about 1 o'clock in the morning there. So yeah, what are you doing up, Zentron?
Yeah, he said it's 1:30 a.m. So
Yeah.
wow.
Another new commenter, Thesis. Hey, took me a moment. I remember you. Hello, everyone. But yeah, we got. I'm so happy to see you all. DL Memphis, I mentioned earlier. But yeah. Oh, Zentron says, I'm watching this in another podcast.
He's cheating on us.
Zentron.
Oh, Grant, I have a question because I kind of already know the answer, but don't you have an email list you can get onto for all your fancy?
I do. It's on.
I'm on it, so I know.
Yeah, it's on the Comicsburg. If you guys want to sign up for it, it's on the Comicsburg website. If you go to the Comicsburg website and then click free comic book, you will not only get a free digital copy of Beowulf #1, but you will get put on my newsletter, which means you won't have to worry about when my next comic book is coming out.
Didn't
So-
you send out a blast this morning or something like that?
Yeah, I think it was yesterday I did.
Okay.
You might not have gotten it until this morning, but
I
yeah.
haven't
say-
slept.
So
I
Grant,
have
what
no
is
idea.
that website? This is the first I'm hearing of this.
I will put it in the chat. It is
Okay.
comicsburg.com. And
Comicsburg.com.
right, Comicsburg is the name of my publisher.
Okay.
It failed to post. I'll put it in the private. Maybe you need to be a an admin.
That's correct.
So okay, I put it in the private chat.
All right, I got it, Willow.
Okay.
But if you go to comicsburg.com and then click on free comic, there's a little survey or a little what do you call that? Like a little form you have to fill out. But there's only one question that it asks you, which is what is your email?
Okay. Sweet. I'll have to do that tonight before I go to bed.
Yeah.
Get on that list.
So for those of the folks in the audience, either watching live right now or listening on the audio podcast on, Apple or Spotify or iHeartRadio, why should people get excited about the League of Cryptids, Grant? What's in it for them? What should they expect?
I think it's a fun little concept. It's not a concept you have to think about a lot. There's not some deep philosophical issue. It's kind of fun. And I think it's a who can't do with in their life, It's kind of like a classic comic book style idea. Something like, not that it's as good as any of the old comic book ideas, but kind of in the same vein as like the Stan Lee and Jack Kirby type stuff.
All right.
Okay, so you are on Kickstarter right now with trying to get this funded. Well, you have so here's the fun thing about being Canadian. So I get to see the Kickstarter in Canadian funds, where you guys all get to see the funds come in American money. So you're at $4,123 in Canadian money.
Okay, yeah. So we're at about a little over 3,000 in American dollars, and our goal was 2,000. So we're doing good.
I'd say so. Yeah.
Yeah. So we do have another stretch goal. If we make it to 3,500, which I think we probably will, we will get a trading card with the comic book, which is a Chupacabra trading card.
Okay.
We've already.
Ooh, fancy.
Oh, sorry.
That's pretty awesome. And for those of you who are in the audience, a stretch goal is when a creator on Kickstarter meets their goal, and then they create another goal with additional swag and additional benefits for people who support it. So that's what we're talking about.
Yep, we definitely love the swag.
Yeah, we were kind of talking about trading cards earlier, weren't we?
Yeah,
that's right. See how that all
yes,
comes
we were.
back to the beginning, full circle. Ta-da!
You know what's crazy? To this day, I can still remember how on the back of the trading cards they would have like the little statistics. Like to this day, I can still remember like, okay, Wolverine was like a 7 in fighting ability, and but Spider-Man was only like a 4. And like,
somebody go fact check this.
But it's so crazy. Like when I read a comic book and I see like if Spider-Man and Wolverine are fighting, I think I still to this day think to myself, okay, Spider-Man's a 4 and Wolverine's a 7. So Wolverine has the advantage. Which is, oh boy, I have like a lot of useless knowledge in this head.
Isn't that funny how comic book nerds obsess over things that really don't matter?
It's crazy.
It matters to us. It matters to us.
Look. I love the stats as much as anybody else, but at the end of the day, watching these guys online on online forums fight over the stats, I'm I don't do you that. Guys understand these are fictional characters, right?
Right.
Hey, every so often I'll look at the stat. Okay, so my city is a huge hockey town. Okay, so right now the Winnipeg Jets are doing really well going into the playoffs, and we're keep it up, guys. Okay, we just won our game tonight. And the stats are. I don't know. Does the stats even mean anything as far as hockey goes? Because it seems like we'll just add like new players, and our team just does even more awesome.
Well, I'll tell you this: statistics in any field really mean nothing, because on any given Sunday, that underdog NFL team can beat the top tier. On any given Sunday, there can be an upset. Any given Friday night, in anything, sports, fantasy, comic fights, anything can happen. So who cares?
But yeah, no, I try to pay attention to my hockey team as much as possible, but I'm kind of banned from watching them play because every time I watch their games, they lose. So I'm just like, I'll watch from afar.
Well, and here's another great comment from Brian Rodman about this very same thing. He says it's like what Stan Lee said when people ask which superhero would win in a fight against another hero. It all depends on who the writer is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I wrote it, nobody would win.
You would have peaceful superheroes?
Yeah.
There was a DC superhero named Dove, who was the pacifist superhero, but I don't, judging by the fact that most people have never heard of him, I don't think it was a very successful comic book.
Just make everybody hug it out.
Well, in current comics in the Avengers, Wonder Man is a pacifist.
Oh, okay.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, he's really super useful in a fight.
I don't remember Wonder Man being a pacifist.
It's
so
recently. It's within the last decade.
Okay.
Somebody made a comment and it made me giggle. Bob Ross, the superhero.
Geeky Gothic
thank
Gamer
you,
Girl.
Geeky Gothic Gamer Girl.
Which
That's
is Lauren.
Lauren Knight. Yay! Our ice cream queen friend.
She was in the chat on Facebook.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah. But no, I am excited for this comic to come out and see where it goes because the characters are fantastic.
Thanks.
I'm gonna try to cosplay Nessie because she looks awesome.
That might be a tough one.
I'm sure I can do it. Or okay, the person who I believe can do it, pull it off, is Lauren.
Lauren can pull off anything. I don't know what kind of voodoo she has working over there, but every time I see her do something, I'm like, I can't even do eyeliner.
Lauren Knight is a mutant.
A beautiful mutant.
She is a mutant cosplayer. She has mutant abilities to transform herself into anything she can imagine. It's remarkable.
And I'm jealous of her daughter because she does the same thing to her daughter, and I'm like, she looks so cute. Just saying, I'm jelly.
Now I have a question for Grant. Grant, so are you the writer, the artist, both?
So I wrote this comic book and I didn't do all of the art this time because I wanted to get it out before, like with Beowulf, I did the vast majority of the art, but this time I only did about like a third of the art. I have two other guys helping me out. I did the inks and the lettering, but I did not do the pencils or the coloring.
Okay.
Very good.
Yeah,
and you know what? I just saw this picture of Mothman. Where'd it go? You put it up there, Willow. Yeah. This looks like it was inspired by the statue in Mount Pleasant.
Yeah, so he's metallic. He's not wearing armor, but he actually comes from like a metallic species where everything is non-fleshy but actually metallic.
that's pretty cool, and because that is definitely, if you ever go to Point Pleasant, West Virginia, the Mothman statue is metallic,
Right.
and someone made a comment. I think it was Brian Rodman. Looking for it. Yes, Brian Rodman said Mothman's statue has a luscious bottom for sure.
Yeah, that's what it's famous for. So I've been through West Virginia, but I've never been to Point Pleasant specifically. But yeah, it's crazy. Like I can't remember. It's a huge number. I think like 2/3 of the entire town's economy is based on like people coming like from Mothman events and like the museum and stuff like that.
So yes, there's a couple of museums actually. There is the Mothman Museum, and then there are some other museums, and there's only one stoplight in Point Pleasant.
Right.
The entire town, is like maybe 3 square blocks, but every business is either the museum or a gift shop or the haunted hotel. Everything is built around cryptids and the paranormal, and not just Mothman. There is a haunted hotel right on the square, and there's a UFO. There's all kinds of UFO stuff going on in West Virginia, and there's a UFO gift shop there, and collectibles, and yeah, the entire economy.
I don't
As
think
somebody that used to. Oh, go on.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I was just gonna say, as somebody that used to live in West Virginia, that's like the only thing they got going for them.
And I was going to say the Flatwoods Monster isn't very far from there either, that's another one of my favorite cryptids, and he's definitely going to be, he or she, probably a she, since we already have like 4 guys. We need a few more ladies, but to me, the Flatwoods Monster is like one of the weirdest designs. You guys know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I know I touched on that too.
Well, I'll tell you the other thing about Point Pleasant, West Virginia, is it's just across the river from Ashland, Kentucky. Okay. And Ashland, Kentucky, that whole part of the Appalachians is a Bigfoot hotspot as well.
Right.
It's so that whole area is just steeped in folklore and cryptid folklore and paranormal activity. It's pretty wild.
And that's also not far from where I think Goatman was mostly. He's mostly Kentucky, right?
Well, so there is a Kentucky Goatman that is, I want to say Pikeville, which is not far from here, from Ashland. But the Goatman legends start primarily in Delaware. That's where his legend started, and it kind of migrated into Kentucky and western Kentucky and northwestern Tennessee.
You know what's crazy? I'm looking up Goatman right now. I didn't realize there were 3 different Goatman.
Mm-hmm.
There's one in Kentucky, one in Maryland, and one in Texas.
Yeah. Huh. The Maryland one is considered the first.
Okay.
We should probably do an episode on Goatman.
Oh, probably. Yes, you should.
Goatman. I can also go out to my barn and like videotape my goats for it.
Goatman is definitely going to be a character in a future issue of League of Cryptids, because he has a really cool superpower. He can actually like influence other people's like decision making. Like there was a couple who crossed this really dangerous like bridge that there was like nowhere for them to stand, and like when people asked them why they did this, they said that they felt like Goatman was compelling them to do this.
Huh. Okay, so Brian Rodman says we have a Goatman here right outside of Louisville who haunts the train trestle.
I think that's the one he's talking about.
I've walked the trestle at midnight. He didn't show up, sadly.
Yeah.
Here's my thing. Okay, so this is where my brain is tied into so much of the pop culture.
From the episodes I've seen, you're usually the skeptic.
Yeah, but I cannot hear Goatman without thinking SNL.
Right.
Well, it's funny that you bring up Goatman, and I'm trying to bring this up right now, because I have a cosplay group that became a comic book called the League of Impossibilists, and one of our characters is Deacon, who is a satyr, a quote unquote goat man. And I'm trying to find, ooh, this is a great picture of some of us at an event. So I'm going to save this and put this up. But Grant, if you need a graphic design, because we did a comic book based
cool.
on the League of Impossibilists, and it was #1 on Amazon for 3 weeks for new graphic novels. So I'm going to save this picture, and I'm going to send this. I'm going to pop this up too. Yeah. So if you need a really cool design, I'm just saying.
I can't remember if I did a drawing of Goatman or not yet. I have like a folder on my computer where I have like all the different characters and designs.
Yeah, I'm trying to load this right now, and it didn't label itself. Okay, there's one. Ta-da! And I'll show you the actual. So this is the illustration.
Oh,
and
cool.
That's my artwork, by the way.
Neat.
Doug Aller did the pencils. I did the inks. But this is the real life cosplayer.
Oh,
that's cool.
Yeah. So this is us at a cosplay event, and Deacon the Satyr and Madame Dark, his quote unquote handler. So anyway, ta-da!
That looks awesome.
That's
But yeah,
neat.
you're right. Yeah, the Goatman I think is one of the cooler cryptids as well.
The coolest cryptid.
Do you think it's the coolest one?
No. I'm going to tell you the coolest one.
Okay.
Is the Ozark Howler, or also known as Sheep Squatch.
Yeah.
He's awesome. Unbelievably cool.
Yeah, the Ozark Howler. He's cool looking and he has a good name. I don't know. So, have you guys ever said officially what your favorite cryptids are?
Not like, because I'm always learning more about them, that I can't really choose a favorite right now, because I don't know. It's really hard to pick a favorite. I mean, everybody's favorite seems to be Mothman.
Well, I'm a huge fan of Sheep Squatch, but because of my personal experiences, I have to say Bigfoot is my favorite.
So have you seen Bigfoot?
So I spent my whole youth camping out in the woods, and I've seen and I've heard the knocks and the calls, but it was my brother, my older brother, he's 13 years older than me. He was a Navy SEAL, and he was stationed in North Bremerton, Washington, just outside of Seattle, at the base of Mount St. Helens. And he had a face-to-face encounter on a Navy SEAL training maneuver. It is recorded in the official U.S. Navy, documentations in the records. They have a whole protocol for reporting Sasquatch encounters, and if Navy SEALs lie, people die. So when my older brother tells me I came face to face with a Sasquatch, I have to believe that story is true and that he's real.
Wow.
So Thesis says there are quite a few cryptids in Utah, but I think the most famous is the White Lady. And we've touched on that myth or legend with the ice cream queens a couple weeks back.
Every city has at least one, if not more, White Lady stories.
Isn't that funny?
It is. And that always leads me to believe, Grant, when you hear the same stories over and over in unrelated places and locations, and even like not just city to city, but country to country, continent to continent, and they're telling the same stories, that tells me there's truth to be discovered there.
Yeah,
That's
it's crazy. I'm looking through the Wikipedia page, and there it's like every different country. There's one in Brazil, Canada, Czech Republic, Estonia,
Mhm.
Germany, Hungary, Ireland, Japan, Netherlands, Philippines. Like, yeah, it's crazy.
and I don't believe in coincidences. So, I can only assume that there's some truth to that legend, that it is being repeated independently across the globe.
Brian Rodman says the way I see it is there's no way every single experience is either a lie or crazy talk. So there's something going on for sure.
Yeah. And Grant, I debunk a lot of cryptid sightings. I even debunk a lot of Bigfoot sightings. Because I can spot a fake from a mile away. But when I see the authentic thing, I'm going to say so. And I personally, I don't believe that Mothman is real.
Okay.
I don't think what people see is some mythical creature. I think they're seeing what's called a harpy eagle. Because when you look at pictures of harpy eagles, it's exactly what people describe seeing when they say they saw Mothman.
Okay. How do you spell harpy? Oh, okay. Never mind. I found it.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. And the first pictures that come up on Google, you're like, holy cow, that's exactly what people are describing
Hmm.
Mothman as.
Yeah. So you don't believe Mothman at all? You don't think there's even like a chance he exists?
Well, I mean, I like to think that he exists. I mean, it's a fanciful tale, but it's so isolated. I mean, when you have myths that are so isolated to one locale, like the Point Pleasant, West Virginia region, it makes me call into question the validity of it. And look, I know in Chicago, at Chicago O'Hare Airport, people have reported seeing Mothman there recently, like within the last, 4 or 5 years, Willow.
Yeah.
And I
This
just,
is what came up for me.
yeah. I mean, and when you see some other pictures with a harpy eagle next to a person, they're almost as big as a person. They're huge birds, and they've got those feathers that look like the antennas that people describe Mothman having, and I just think that that's what it is.
Mhm.
Well, the other thing, I mean, you were saying that Mothman is a very specific area, but it was also a very, very specific point in time,
That's right.
because most of the really famous Mothman sightings were within a few months of each other.
That's correct.
Yeah, and people saw it just before the bridge collapse, and then some
Right.
people say they saw it in Chicago.
So that's the question: do people believe Mothman was trying to warn people about the bridge collapsing, or do they think he was responsible for the bridge collapse?
I think there are people on both camps. Some people think that he's a harbinger of future events, and other people believe that he causes those events.
See, I don't know, that's really hard to say because of the fact that did they not look at what was the official cause of the bridge collapse? Like, wasn't it because it was an old bridge?
Yeah, I mean, it was structurally unsound to begin with. So the thought that Mothman caused the collapse is a little bit of a fallacy. But to say that he was the predictor, the harbinger of the disaster that was to come, okay.
I'm surprised we haven't seen the Mothman here in Pittsburgh, because there was a bridge collapse here in Pittsburgh. There are a lot of old bridges in Pittsburgh.
I mean, people
Well-
are gonna look for reasons why this stuff happens all the time, and put blame on something that, like, putting an omen out and blaming an omen or
Yeah,
Uh, something.
I don't necessarily. I don't necessarily believe in a lot of these cryptids, but I also kind of realize that it doesn't really hurt anybody to believe in these cryptids, and it's more fun to believe that these cryptids exist. And there are some things like that I think, like some of the conspiracy theories and stuff, I think can be harmful, but I don't think cryptids, believing in, like, nobody's not going to get a vaccine because they believe in a cryptid, or nobody's going to, like, do something dangerous because, well, they might.
Have you met some of those cryptid hunters? They do
Um,
dangerous stuff all the time.
But
But
I guess I don't mind if they're doing stuff that's dangerous to themselves. It's when they start being dangerous to other people that kind of bothers me.
Yeah. Well, and my whole point on that speaks largely to the Bigfoot, the Sasquatch phenomenon. There are Sasquatch stories, Bigfoot stories across the globe on every continent. And not just the US Northwest. In the US, the hottest spot for sightings are the Appalachian area. That's
Right.
the hottest spot, but those people are more remote and they don't talk about it. And so we tend to focus on the Pacific Northwest. But
There's a lot of stuff coming up from the Appalachian Mountains, that, like, all these different stories and myths and creatures that people claim to see, and I don't know. It to me, like, here I live in Canada. Not a whole lot of myths, legends, and creatures like the Appalachian Mountains, but I do believe that I do believe in ghosts. Like, we'll get into that on another day. But when people say do not answer when you hear a whistle or you hear your name being called, how often do you hear, like, when you're just about to fall asleep, how often do you hear, like, someone being called, like someone calling your name, or hearing weird, strange noises in your house?
The one that freaks me out. Do you know what shadow people are?
Yep.
Shadow people are the ones that freak me out, because I swear to God I've seen shadow people. Like, it's usually like right in your peripheral vision. And one of the theories about them is that they're people from like alternate dimensions, where it was like somehow there was some type of like time disruption. You know what I mean? Like, somehow they died in like an alternate reality and they weren't supposed to, or something like that. And, like, to me, that's the freakiest one, because I swear to God I've seen like shadow people, like, just like usually they're like right over, like,
Yeah.
and as soon as you turn your head, they're gone.
I lead ghost tours in Nashville. We visit famously haunted buildings, historically significant, and I have guests report seeing shadows moving all the time. I personally have seen on 3 occasions shadow figures moving in different locations throughout historic downtown Nashville. And we're doing tours like right on the edge of the Civil War battlefield, along the old slave market street. And I see shadow people all the time. Now, are they trans-dimensional beings? Are they psychic memories? Or are they demons?
Mm-hmm.
I have a personal philosophy or personal theory about ghosts that will blow everybody away. Most ghost stories happen and are reported in areas that have a large concentration of iron ore in the soil, magnetic ore. And, we used magnetic tape for audio and video recordings for decades. What if ghost sightings are literal recordings of the past trapped in the rock? That's not just my theory. That's a very popular theory.
That's something to look into, Johnny. I think that we need to investigate that a little bit, and maybe that's where my friend Kenny Biddle comes in handy to investigate a little bit further.
I feel like that could be a whole episode on its own.
Absolutely.
I think
Brian Rodman posts a very funny comment. He says, "All I know is my favorite cryptid is Nicholas Anthony Tockard. For those of you who don't know, Nicholas Anthony Tockard is a friend of the program, and he does another couple of broadcasts on the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. And check him out. Nicholas Anthony Tockard, the mighty Manatee Man."
How did that joke start? Do you guys know?
I have no idea.
Hey, look who's joining us, Willow. It's James Scott from Scotland, and he asks, "Mothman is a real thing?" Absolutely. Now, is he real? That's the debate we're having. But yeah, as a cryptid, as a legend, absolutely, people believe in him, and they hold a festival every year.
He's apparently as real as the Loch Ness Monster.
Listen, the Loch Ness Monster is absolutely real.
And the other thing is whether or not I think these cryptids are real or not doesn't change whether or not I find them interesting. You know what I mean? Because what you're saying about Sasquatch, existing in a lot of different cultures. The thing that fascinates me is you could say the same thing about werewolves. You could say the same thing about vampires.
That's right.
Or dragons, for that matter.
That's right.
Why is it that there are legends in England about creatures that look almost identical to creatures in Japan? Like they have legends about dragons in Japan as well, and
because they're real. Because they were real.
So that's the one question. Or the other question is there something about dragons that human beings just find so fascinating that they feel the need to make up these stories? I don't know.
Honestly, a lot of these creatures came from when the world was all connected.
That's a good point too.
Because we have dinosaur bones that were found on one end of Canada, and then on the other part of the world, like it almost seems like the other half of that dinosaur bone was found.
So that's another good point. I mean, are dragons, maybe like remnants of some type of dinosaur? Either, maybe some type of primitive people found like the skeleton of a dragon or found the skeleton of a dinosaur and was like, what the hell is this? And then they made up the story of the dragon. Who knows?
Well, so not to get theological, but people like Ken Ham would argue that dinosaurs lived side by side with human beings, and that the stories of dragons are actually stories of when dinosaurs roamed the earth and we interacted with them, and that they were hunted into extinction. Now, I do believe that dragons were hunted into extinction.
Part of that, I do feel like that is a possibility that humans did exist with the dinosaurs, but well,
because everything that we base what we know, Willow, is really just theory. We don't really know that we know.
feel like the whole like some of the theories of our evolution is a little off.
I mean, there's I can't remember who said it, but it was the idea that any advanced technology would look like magic to a non-advanced society. So a lot of these things are not necessarily supernatural or magic or whatever. It's just stuff that we haven't discovered
Yeah.
yet. I mean, the fact that, you know, for a long time, what's the fish that was in
The coelacanth.
coelacanth? Yeah, you knew exactly what I was talking about. I mean, that was a fish that we thought was extinct for hundreds of thousands of years, and then it wasn't. It was essentially I mean, the ocean is crazy because, I mean, we know almost nothing about the ocean. Like the amount of what we have to know about what we know about the ocean is like this much compared to what there is to know about the ocean.
Well, for centuries, the giant squid was said to be a myth, a cryptid,
Yeah, that's another
until
good one.
it wasn't. And when was that? That's recent, like 1960, 1970-ish, that they captured a giant squid. And now they're seen on a fairly regular basis as our technology is kept, caught up to the vastness of the ocean. We're finding things that we thought were extinct. And that's why I think that the Loch Ness Monster could actually be real, because
I don't think a sea creature that big, a cold-blooded sea creature would be that far north. That's just my opinion.
Well, so but look at the other similar structured lakes throughout the world, like Okopogo, Lake Champlain. You know, and there's one in Russia. There's a lake in Japan. They all have these stories of a very similar plesiosaur creature, and they're very deep lakes, like almost unreachably deep. And we know now with sonar that Loch Ness has a series of underground caverns, and they could connect to other underground caverns and lakes, and there could be an entire community of plesiosaurs or something similar that survived the Jurassic Age, and they're still out there. We just haven't caught up to
Loch Ness
finding them.
isn't a big body of water. So
Oh, it's huge. It's huge.
But I'm going to tell you something. The underground caverns is something I might add to future issues of League of Cryptids, because that's a really fun idea, actually.
Well, and you know, it feeds into the theory that there's a hollow Earth, and you know, maybe these cryptids are traveling through the hollow Earth. I don't think that the Earth is hollow, but I do think that there probably is a high probability that there is a series of caverns in the mantle that connect continents.
Again, I don't believe that the Earth is hollow either, but I do think it's a really fun idea to explore, like in like a comic book or books or TV shows stuff.
And for those of you who are just joining us, and we have several who are, we are talking with Grant Lankard about his comic series, The League of Cryptids. Throw that image up there, Willow, so people can see this beautiful book that is coming. He's finishing up a KickStarter, and we would love for you guys to go follow the link to his KickStarter and help fund the League of Cryptids and get it done, get it made.
Yeah, thank you guys again for mentioning it.
Oh, no problem. Always happy to help. Well, I mean, it is pretty much the mid top of the hour, so
yeah.
thank you, Grant, for joining us tonight, and thank you, Johnny, for being here and helping me out. Sorry, Keisha had to take off because baby crying.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, thanks again for having me on. I mean, I could talk about cryptids like all night.
Well, and we could too. We could go for hours on end, and but unfortunately, some of us have real lives and have to be up at 5 a.m.
Yep. Unfortunately, I have to work tomorrow as well. But you guys all make sure that you stay in touch with us for our next episode. Another comic book friend wants to join in on the conversation. Cool. So we're going to have one of my favorites, Evan Quering, joining us for our next episode. So talking about his stuff. So I'll make up all the details and promote his stuff in a couple of days. So, but I don't know if you guys have any plans for Easter. I mean, we'll see. Maybe there'll be a show for Easter. So you guys have a great night, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for everybody who listened.
Sorry. I'm really bad at this. I apologize, Johnny.
It's like Coca-Cola, Levi Strauss, Johnny Carson and Mickey Mouse. The first star was James Dean. Elvis Presley, yeah, he's still the king. Some things are only imitatable. You can't beat an original.